Mr. Begich, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My questions are going to be directed to Rear Admiral Barata. How often are you seeing foreign vessels operate in ways designed to avoid enforcement against IUU, and how are they doing this?
Congressman, quite often. It's kind of ubiquitous. They're doing it in a number of ways to kind of obfuscate where they're at. They don't identify themselves, or we found that the technology to kind of project your location is very pervasive in other spots. In some cases, they're clumping in together. In other cases, what they do is they'll take illegal catch to a mothership and they'll put it into a transshipment so that we don't know which vessel was loading it and those things. And so, in a lot of ways, and then they're landing it in countries that are friendly to them, that need the money or need the catch, and so they'll bring it in there. But those are we see it all the time.
What would you say is the single biggest enforcement gap that you face in stopping illegal fishing in U.S. waters or near U.S. interests?
In U.S. waters, I think, and it's the same problem I think that we have in the rest of the world, is that you need to know where they're at. You need awareness of where those things are. And so, in the far reaches of the Pacific, some of the things that we're going to need some satellite assistance in order to compare the location of those vessels against their actual location. And then we're going to need data and artificial intelligence to kind of help us suss out which vessels are operating illegally.
When you're trying to measure whether you've been successful at inhibiting IUU activities, what are the metrics that you use to capture that? Is it boarding, seizures, disruption? How do you sort of characterize that?
We look at it in a couple different ways. Metrics are hard, but I think it depends on the fishing fleet. For instance, in the Gulf of America, where we're doing the Lanchero boardings down there near the Mexican border, and we've had luck, prosecuting some of those operators under the Lacey Act just in the last year alone. We're measuring the deterrent effect there, and what we have seen is that prosecuting and having some of these mariners plead guilty has had a deterrent effect. In other locations out in the Pacific, the number of boardings we do, can we spring upon them? Can we kind of shoo them out of other countries' EEZs? Those are better metrics for us and those bigger fleets and the far reaches.
Now, as you may know, I'm from the state of Alaska. We have more coastline than the rest of the United States combined in Alaska. A difficult area to patrol and monitor. But up in the Arctic, what would you think a credible deterrence presence would require?
As you say, sir, we love Alaska. It's beautiful up there. But some of the most challenging conditions that we operate in, for a number of reasons. The weather is one, but time, speed, distance is another one. And so, in answer to your question, I think we would need a couple things. We need cutters up there. Presence matters, especially when our adversaries are up there. Aircraft, ISR, the ability to do that. We need some land-based stations and those things. And so the ability to be there when we need to be there, which I would think is year-round, at least we're getting there. But at least when vessels are there and when our adversaries are there, to know what they're doing and then to do something about it.
And I appreciate you saying that. As we've discussed already this morning, the budget reconciliation bill that passed last year has a significant, historic, really, investments in Coast Guard, both in terms of new vessels and in programmatic funding. And hopefully we'll be able to get some of that deployed in Alaska on a permanent basis to help you and your mission for deterring IUU fishing activities off of Alaska's coast. At the end of the day, Alaska provides 60% of the nation's seafood catch, and we want to make sure that that our fishing families and those who rely on them are well protected, and they have a strong economic interest to continue to harvest that food off of Alaska's coast. So we appreciate your support in that mission. We love our Coast Guard, and we thank you for your service.